In this video, we'll talk about subqueries. A subquery is just a query that's nested inside another query. We use a subquery when the query is based on some unknown value, unknown list, or unknown table. We will have to use a select and from clauses, and we must enclose the subquery in parentheses. We will place the subquery along with its parentheses on the right side of whatever operator we're using to compare. Let's just first look at the general syntax of a subquery. We will have the main query, which is the outer query. And then in our where clause, we will have some kind of operator to compare. And after the operator, we'll have our subquery enclosed in parentheses, which is going to be the inner query. So the inner query is going to produce some kind of result. And then based on that result, we will do some kind of filtration in the main query, which is the outer one. First of all, let's look at the subquery types. We'll have a single row that's going to return to the outer query one row of results. So it is going to be just a single value that we are going to compare in the outer query. Now for the case of multiple rows, we will return multiple cells, and this is going to result in us having a list of values that are going to be compared against the outer query. And finally, if we're talking multiple columns, then we are returning a table, which is a set of results, and we're comparing everything against that table. So let's look at a simple example that is going to clarify the concept. So these are the books that I have in my database. And I want a query that is going to give me any single book that has a retail price that is higher than, let's say, the one I'm highlighting, which is database implementation. Let me design the inner query first, or write the inner query first, and then surround it with parentheses and have my outer query. And I believe this is the easiest approach. Just make sure that you are getting a value to compare and then append it in another query. So I'll say select retail from books where the title is equal to the book that I'm trying to get. So I want to run this and make sure I get some value. Now since I got this value, I will go ahead and append this as the inner part of my subquery, and I will have an outer query that is going to give me the results I'm looking for. So I'll say select star from books, and then I'll say where retail is higher than whatever I get from this subquery. So essentially this query is select star from books where retail is higher than 55.95. But assuming that I don't know the price of this book, then I can just ask my SQL workbench to get it for me, or my DBMS to get it for me, and then append it to the query. So if I run this, I was highlighting that inner part, that's why I got the previous result, but then this is the whole query. Now all of these books are having retail higher than the database implementation book. And this is an example of a single row function. You can use it within some kind of equation. You can use group by, you can use having, everything can be used in here as long as you enclose it in a subquery. So this can work as well with a having clause. So if I want to display the average profit of all categories that have a higher average profit than, let's say, literature books. So the first task for me is to get the profit of literature books. So I will go ahead and select everything from my table. Select star from books and look at my categories. So do I have literature category right here? Yeah, I do. Okay. So how do I calculate the profit is retail minus cost? And I'm looking for the average profit for the books. So I'll say select average, and my average is going to be the profit, so it's retail minus cost from books, and then I'll say where the category is equal to literature. Now this is going to give me the average retail or the average profit of any literature book. Now what I want is the average profit for any category that is higher than this. And I want to see the category as well. So again, first step is to surround my subquery with parentheses, and then I will proceed in writing my outer query. So I'll say select category, and I want this part, which is the average profit, and I will have it just displayed as something like average profit, and this is going to be from books. Now I want my filtration to happen in my group by, so in this case I will not use a where clause, so I'll say group by, and I will group by category because I want everything to be displayed based on category. And this is going to be having, remember having is how we filter in a group by function, and having the average retail minus cost, which is the average profit basically, higher than whatever I got from the subquery. And this is going to say, okay, the categories that have higher average are computer and family life. Now this is an example of how you do a single value or single row subquery. In the next video we will see how we can do multiple rows and then essentially a full table, which is a multiple column.